Is there a word that compels the universe to make you rich? Listen carefully, because the mind loves cheap tricks and false shortcuts. It likes to believe that life is a lock and that there's a secret sound that can open the door without you changing internally. But life isn't a lock, it's a mirror, and a mirror isn't persuaded by noise. A mirror only reflects what you uphold silently. So I'm going to tell you the truth, unvarnished and without distraction. The word does exist, yes, but not as a spell. It exists as a decision. It's not a syllable you utter. It's a command you engrave deep within. The word is now. Now doesn't mean haste. Now isn't anxiety. Now isn't the desperation of someone trying to bend time by force. Now is a clean cut. It's the moment you stop asking circumstances for permission. It's when you stop consulting the world to see if you can prosper. It's when you close the court where your life was judged by visible facts and assume the only jurisdiction that matters, your inner state. Now is the blade that separates the old you from the new you. And the new you, when whole, doesn't live begging for wealth. It moves like someone who already belongs to the pattern they've chosen. Do you want to get rich? Then understand, wealth doesn't start with numbers, it starts with identity. The external world is an obedient canvas, but it only paints what you consistently uphold in the invisible. If you uphold the state of someone who is trying, you receive evidence of attempts, delays, and frustration. If you uphold the state of someone who already is, you receive evidence of alignment, open doors, encounters that seem like coincidences, ideas that seem to come from nowhere. The word now is the seal that fixes the chosen state. Now pay attention. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are being. Many want like someone who looks at a mountain from afar and then goes back home. They call this faith. It's not faith, it's mental tourism. The true state is residence. Residence isn't a visit, residence is dwelling. If you dwell in fear, you find reasons to fear. If you dwell in scarcity, you find proof of scarcity. If you dwell in prosperity, you find paths to prosper. The world isn't punishing you, it's confirming you. Let me guide you through 5 principles, not as theory but as discipline, so that now stops being just a nice word and becomes a command that reorganizes your life. First, understand that the universe responds to your internal address, not your external request. Desire without identity is smoke. It's like someone shouting from the street to a house where they don't live. Open up, give me food. The house doesn't answer. The house only opens for those with the key. And the key is your state. Money, opportunity, expansion, all of this is a consequence of a sustained state. You can repeat, I want money 1,000 times and still continue acting, feeling, and perceiving yourself as someone who doesn't have it, can't have it, doesn't deserve it, doesn't know how, or doesn't belong. And then the world, faithfully, gives you more scenes to confirm that story. When you say I want, the old mind interprets I don't have. That's why so many people live addicted to wanting. They want today, they want tomorrow, they always want, and they stay in the same place because the real state behind wanting is lack. The word now ends that. Now isn't I want, now is I am. And I am isn't arrogance, it's a choice. It's the courage to assume a pattern before seeing it materialized, like an architect who first dwells in the design and then sees the house emerge on the plot. How do you change this address? You decide. Not when your bank account improves, not when someone applauds you, not when the world offers permission. You decide now. You choose an internal scenario that proves you are already prosperous. And this scenario needs to be specific enough to touch your body. Because the body is the altar of the state. If your body is still tense, constricted, with short breaths, it's dwelling at the old address. You need to teach your body to dwell at the new one. Imagine this. You enter an elevator with 2 people. One person is someone who needs, the other is someone who possesses. They might wear the same clothes, speak the same language, be in the same building. Still, their presence is different. The first carries urgency and justification in their eyes. The second carries calm and direction. It's not magic, it's a state. The world reacts to your state before it reacts to your words. You can say beautiful phrases, but if your state is one of fear, You emit fear. If your state is one of prosperity, you emit prosperity. And the world adjusts to what you emit. You will feel resistance at first. Your mind will try to pull you back to the old street, the one where you learned to survive. It will bring up memories, numbers, opinions, comparisons, pointing out what hasn't changed yet. And you don't argue. You don't open a debate with scarcity. Discipline isn't fighting doubt. Discipline is not dwelling in it. You recognize the old program's attempt and return to the new state with the same simplicity as someone returning home. You breathe, adjust your body, and say inwardly, now. Now, before I take you to the next principle, do something practical, because a state isn't sustained by inspiration alone. If you want to deepen this practice with clear exercises, simple routines, and objective steps, the kind that help you train visualization, reprogram patterns, and align your focus with results, go to the link in the pinned comment and use the material as guided training without complication to consistently apply what you are hearing in your daily life. Moving on, the second principle is this: your subconscious accepts instructions, not opinions. It doesn't differentiate between what is real and what is imagined when you imagine with clarity and emotion. It executes. It runs the program you install. And here's the problem with the common human. They install the same program every day and then are surprised by the same result. They install worry and reap worries. They install comparison and reap inferiority. They install guilt and reap blocks. Then they call it destiny. Think of the subconscious as a blind yet obedient artisan. It doesn't decide what you deserve. It molds the clay of your behavior, your attention, your choices, so that the final form resembles the image you uphold within. If your internal image is of someone who constantly justifies themselves, the artisan creates situations that demand justification. If your image is of someone who possesses resources, calm, and strategy, the artisan creates paths where these qualities become necessary and therefore available. Do you want proof? Observe how the mind works when you decide to buy a specific object. The next day you start seeing that object everywhere. It was always there, but you didn't see it. Your focus created a filter. Wealth is also a filter. When you install the state of prosperity, you start seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You start noticing people, information, and paths that were previously invisible. And then you call this luck. It's not luck, it's aligned perception. But there's a condition. The subconscious responds more to images and emotions than to empty words. If you repeat, "I am rich," and internally feel it's a lie, you're not installing wealth, you're installing conflict. What installs is the lived experience. Therefore, you need to create a short, repeatable, and sensory internal scene. Short, to fit into your routine. Repeatable, to become a habit. Sensory, for the body to believe. Create the scene. See the moment that proves wealth as a fact. Not a cinematic fantasy, but a real detail. The banking app opening and showing a solid reserve, the sound of your phone notifying a received payment, the feeling of paying for everything in advance without tightness in your chest, the tranquility of choosing quality without guilt, the freedom to say no to what doesn't serve you. Bring in your senses, the sound of the environment, the texture of your day, the late afternoon light, the posture of your body breathing without urgency. And so this doesn't remain abstract. I'll give you a simple ritual, without superstition, just precision. Choose a fixed time because habit trains the system. Sit for a few minutes, 3 long breaths as if turning down the volume of the world. Then enter your short scene of prosperity, in the first person with details. Don't observe yourself from outside. Inhabit the body that already lives it. Afterward, conclude with a feeling of peaceful satisfaction. It's not theater, it's training, a little every day. The mind doesn't change through intensity, it changes through repetition. Notice subtlety. The goal isn't to manufacture euphoria. Euphoria is unstable. The goal is to naturalize. True wealth doesn't make noise internally, it creates space. It loosens the chest, slows the gaze, eliminates urgency. Therefore, when you visualize, seek the state of, "This is normal for me." Normal. Simple. Almost obvious. The mind accepts what seems normal. It resists what seems impossible, so stop dramatizing the desire and start normalizing it. Perhaps you'll ask me, what if I can't visualize clearly? Then use what you already have, sensation. Often the image is weak, but the emotion is strong. You may not see every detail, but you can feel the freedom of opening the app and not fearing. You can feel the security of having savings. You can feel the dignity of choosing. Uphold that. The subconscious understands. It speaks the language of feeling. And when your mind says that's fantasy, you calmly reply, fantasy was believing that repeating the same thoughts and feeling the same emotions would create a different life. Understand the logic of your own system. What you call reality today was rehearsed yesterday, even if you don't realize it. You rehearsed losses, dangers, and failures for so long that it became a habit. So stop using that power against yourself. Use it to your advantage. Train the new script until it becomes natural, and the external world, faithfully, will give you a stage worthy of it. The third principle is the word hidden within the word now. Silent responsibility. Many people want wealth, but they want to remain innocent of their own patterns. They want the prize without taking command. They want life to change, but they don't want to leave the victim state. And being a victim is an expensive state. It charges interest in energy, time, and dignity. Wealth doesn't dwell in a heart that still waits to be saved by external events. It dwells in those who save themselves by internal decision. And here enters an even finer blade: limiting beliefs. They are invisible chains, and you only discover you're trapped when you try to walk further. You say, I want to earn more, and immediately an automatic thought arises, but I'm not capable. That's for others. No one in my family prospers. I don't have what it takes. Don't treat this as truth. Treat it as an old program asking for continuity. Take a piece of paper, write down your desire, and next to it write the first objection that appears. Then interrogate that objection until it loses its power. Ask, is this entirely true? Is it a fact, or is it just a repeated story? Where is the contrary evidence? Who do I know that succeeded with less than I have? And then replace that old belief with a new belief that you can accept. A belief that your system can wear without feeling strange. I can learn. I can create opportunity. I can improve my worth. I can be paid for what I deliver. Do this as a short daily exercise because the mind changes with repetition, not with promises. Silent responsibility isn't guilt. Guilt traps you in the past, makes you punish yourself, diminishes you. Responsibility places you in the present, gives you muscle, gives you direction. It's looking at a delay and saying, this isn't a sentence, it's a snapshot. I can change the snapshot by changing the pose. It's looking at a debt and saying, this isn't who I am, this is what I lived for a while. My new state is already active. It's looking at a lost opportunity and saying, I didn't lose. I revealed the point where my identity still wavered, and I will strengthen that point. Keep this image in mind, a sculptor before a block of stone. He doesn't insult the stone. He doesn't despair because the statue hasn't appeared yet. He works. The stone is the world. The statue is your destiny. The chisel is your state. Each stroke is a repetition of your new self. When you assume silent responsibility, you pick up the chisel. You stop arguing with the stone and start sculpting, internally and externally. You change internal conversations, change habits, change small choices. And these small repeated choices become a signature, and life recognizes signatures. And here's the part that requires courage. You'll have to abandon the pleasure of complaining. Complaining gives a false sense of relief, but it keeps you at the old address. Complaining is telling the world, I'm not in charge. You won't do that anymore. You will observe, acknowledge, and adjust, without drama, without theater, without asking for absolution from the past. You will say now, and you will act according to the new. The fourth principle is what separates dreamers from creators: alignment. Thought, emotion, and action need to point in the same direction. If you think I want to prosper, but feel fear and act like someone who hides, you're pulling in opposite directions. This creates internal noise, and the world responds with noise: delays, confusion, wrong encounters, weak decisions. When you align, the world simplifies. Imagine a compass within you. Thought defines north. Emotion provides the magnetism. Action is the step. If thought says north, but emotion is magnetized by south, you walk in circles and then call it bad luck. To align is to magnetize emotion with the same destination you've chosen. It's feeling like someone who has already lived it. It's having the calm chest of someone who knows they are building. And then walking like someone who already belongs. Another image. An orchestra. Thought is the composer. Emotion is the conductor. Action is the musician. If the composer writes a song of victory, but the conductor directs with sadness, the musicians play slowly and out of tune, and you blame the audience for not applauding. No, coherence is applauded. Align. Have the conductor lead with the energy of the destiny you want. And then play. Execute small but inevitable actions. Now, the truth many people try to avoid: action isn't blind effort. Action is the natural complement of the state. If you truly are, you move like who you are. It's not working yourself to death out of fear. It's intelligent, inspired, coherent movement. It's like ordering a dish at a restaurant. Choosing is visualizing. Getting up to fetch, pay, adjust the order is what concludes the cycle. If you stay seated, saying, "I chose," the dish won't arrive. You're not being profound, you're being passive. And prosperity doesn't like passivity. It likes commitment. I'll tell you a symbolic story. A man wanted water, but he sat beside the well and repeated, "Water, water." He said he was manifesting. Meanwhile, the bucket was next to him. The right word wasn't water, the right word was now, and the right action was to pick up the bucket. When he finally picked it up, the water didn't appear out of nowhere. It had always been there. What was missing was decision. Many riches you seek already exist around you as possibilities, but you don't touch them because you're still waiting for someone to authorize your hand. So choose a minimal action that proves your new self. Not grand, so it doesn't become an excuse. Minimal, so it becomes a habit. If you want more money, organize your finances for 10 minutes without panic, with the calm of someone who is expanding. If you want income, study for 20 minutes with the certainty of someone who is building. If you want opportunities, send a professional message with poise, not neediness. If you want growth, make a call, write a proposal, learn a skill, refine a service. Minimal action, maximum state. That's how inevitability is built. And the world, when it sees inevitability, stops resisting. The fifth principle is the most difficult for those addicted to signs. Detachment from the external thermometer. Most people measure their faith by what they see. If they see progress, they believe. If they see silence, they retreat. This is infancy. The mature state doesn't depend on applause. It upholds the command, even when the world is still setting the scene. Understand this. Time isn't an enemy. Time is the space where your new identity consolidates. Apparent delay is often a period of shedding skin. A snake doesn't shed its skin under spotlights. It retreats. The world also retreats when it's changing to accompany you. If you abandon that state at that moment, you kill the process in its cradle and go back to shouting at the house where you don't live. So stop looking for signs like someone looking for crumbs. You don't need crumbs when you've decided to eat like a king. Instead of asking when, ask what in me still wavers. Instead of asking why didn't it happen, ask where do I still behave like someone who doesn't have. Detachment isn't giving up. It's relaxing without letting go. It's continuing to plant without digging up the earth every night to see if the seed has grown. If you want a simple practice to seal this, choose a single symbol of wealth that makes sense to you, something discreet. It could be the feeling of paying for everything in advance. It could be the image of savings growing. It could be the peace of mind of choosing quality without guilt. Every time the external world tries to measure you, you return to the symbol and say, now, and continue. You're not trying to convince the universe, you're consolidating your coherence. And observe how this changes your symbolic reading of life. When a bill appears, instead of panicking, you read it as sovereignty training. I am learning to deal with this like a prosperous person. When someone doubts, you read it as an identity test. I will continue to be. When a delay occurs, you read it as an adjustment phase. My state is solidifying. You stop reacting and start interpreting. And one who interprets with authority ceases to be a character and becomes an author. Now, listen to my final exhortation and don't treat it as poetry. Stop begging for external changes. Stop negotiating with lack as if it were an authority. The only real authority in your experience is the state you choose to inhabit. From today, when your mind presents the old script, you don't argue. You command in silence and certainty, now. You assume the identity of someone who is prosperous, not because the numbers have already appeared, but because you have decided this is your dwelling. You uphold the posture, the focus, the feeling, and the movement of someone who already belongs, and reality, which has always been obedient, adjusts to what you uphold. And if you want a practical step to consolidate this new state, go back to the link in the pinned comment and use the material as daily training. Clarity, simple exercises, and objective steps to transform visualization into a routine and align energy with action until your reality reflects, without drama and without resistance, what you have become internally. Look into my mind's eye and grasp this with seriousness. The mirror was never just glass and reflection. It is a symbolic portal, a boundary between the visible and the invisible, between what you believe yourself to be and what you dare to claim. When you stand before it, you're not just looking at a face marked by time or life's events. You are faced with the opportunity to see the state you choose to inhabit. The mirror doesn't show you who you are today, but who you decide to be from within. This is the essence of the techniques. The mirror technique is not a childish trick, nor an empty ritual. It is a call to discipline, to the courage to affirm without wavering, and to the silence of one who needs no external approval. Because before the mirror, you don't speak to others, you speak to the invisible, which is the origin of all forms. A single word, chosen and repeated with authority, can rewrite your destiny. It is not the number of phrases, but the intensity of the assumed state that makes reality bend. And I tell you, that word is now, because everything you desire doesn't belong to an uncertain tomorrow, nor a distant horizon. It is here. It already exists. It has already been given. When you pronounce now, you are not pleading for something that might come. You are commanding the universe to obey what is already yours by divine right. By saying now, you cancel waiting. You destroy the illusion of time that imprisons the human mind. You declare that abundance does not need to be sought because it is already within you. You affirm that love, healing, prosperity, or any other desire do not depend on external circumstances, but only on the state you assume in silence. That is why you must keep this word a secret. If you share it before it takes root, you divide the energy, you weaken the seed. But when you keep it, it creates deep roots in the invisible, and sooner or later, the invisible becomes flesh. There were those who practiced this technique with absolute conviction, repeating now before the mirror as one seals a decree. And in just 7 days, something that seemed impossible happened. $50,000 came to this person as a natural response to the assumed state. It was not chance, it was not luck, it was not an external miracle. It was the law obeying the internal command. The law does not ask if you deserve it, nor does it calculate if it is possible. It merely reflects what you maintain. Therefore, understand this. Each time you stand before the mirror and pronounce now, do not make it a trial but a certainty. Don't say it to test, say it to decree. Don't use it as a fragile wish, use it as a firm command. The mirror reflects not the face you have, but the state you assume. And when you assume it with conviction, the world outside has no choice. It bends and obeys. The first principle is this: everything you see out there is merely a shadow of what you have already accepted within yourself. This means that the external world has no power of its own. It merely reflects, like a larger mirror, what you have decided to maintain in your imagination. Most people look at circumstances as if they were solid, definitive, as if they represented immutable truth. But I tell you, they are just shadows, fleeting forms that obey the inner state. It is like the reflection of a flame projected onto a wall. The wall may seem real, the shadow may seem alive, but nothing happens there that has not first been commanded by the light that projects it. Such is your life. When you look at debts, failures, illnesses, or loneliness and believe that is all there is, you become a prisoner of the shadows. But when you understand that these external scenarios are merely projections of assumed states, you awaken to your power to change the light. Before the physical mirror, this truth is revealed with even greater force. There you see not only the face that time has molded, but the direct reflection of how you perceive yourself. If you look at yourself and see weakness, it is that image that expands into the world. If you look at yourself and see defeat, it is that same vibration that finds support out there. But if you dare to see yourself as a winner, as abundant, as complete, then inevitably reality begins to bend. The word now enters here like a hammer that breaks delay. Because when you pronounce it, you are saying there is no waiting, no distant future, no external condition that needs to be met first. You affirm that you already are, already possess, already live. This is more than positive thinking. Superficial thoughts do not change destiny. It is a deep acceptance, a silent decree that the only truth is the one you choose to hold in your consciousness. You can spend years saying, "One day I will achieve it," and that day never comes. Because by saying one day, you push the desire to a tomorrow that never arrives. But by saying now, you interrupt the cycle of waiting. The universe knows neither past nor future. It only responds to the present state. Therefore, if your state is one of waiting, you will continue to wait. But if your state is one of possession, you begin to reap. Those who doubt this principle usually ask, "But what about the facts? And the evidence that surrounds me? Isn't it an illusion to deny reality?" And I answer, what you call reality is merely the delayed result of what you have sustained before. If today you see lack, it is because at some point you accepted lack within yourself. The mistake is to believe that this is definitive. Denying appearances is not madness, it is wisdom. Madness is to believe that shadows have power over light. True insanity is to value what is mutable more than what is eternal. Before the mirror, practice this principle. Do not cling to the physical face, nor to what your eyes point to as a limit. See beyond. See yourself inhabiting the state you desire. Repeat, now, and allow this word to break the illusion of time. You are not trying to become something. You already are. The reflection may take time to appear, but the law does not fail. If you maintain the state of abundance, sooner or later, the external shadow will have to reorganize itself. This is the first and most essential understanding. The world is a reflection, never a cause. The cause is always in the state you accept in silence. He who understands this no longer begs from life but commands it, and it is in this understanding that true freedom begins. The second principle is silence. It is here that many stumble, because in every human being there is a desire to share, to tell others what they are doing, to seek external validation and approval. But understand clearly, the power of a seed lies in being buried in the earth and protected until it germinates. If you dig up the soil every day to show the seed to someone, it will never take root. The same happens with the state you assume before the mirror. The word now only becomes flesh when it is kept as a secret pact between you and the invisible. The more you speak, the more you divide your energy. The more silent you are, the more you concentrate. And the universe responds to concentration, not to dispersion. You may feel the temptation to tell. Perhaps you want to tell a friend, a relative, or even post on social media for others to believe in you. But when you do this, you surrender your conviction to the doubts of others. People project their own fears, their own limitations, and without realizing it, you allow them to contaminate your seed. Silence, on the other hand, creates a closed, impenetrable field. It becomes like a shield, protecting the command until it blossoms in the visible world. Understand that it is not the external world that needs to believe, it is you. It doesn't matter if everyone around you laughs, doubts, or says it's impossible. What determines what will be manifested is the state you maintain within yourself. When you say now before the mirror, and keep that word only to yourself, the invisible begins to work in your favor without interference. This secret is not a burden, but a source of power. It is in silence that conviction deepens. It is in silence that faith becomes unshakable. Even the scriptures point to this principle. How many times do we see great acts of faith accompanied by instructions to keep quiet, not to speak, to wait in secret? The power is not in shouting to the world, but in decreeing in silence and allowing the world in due time to see the result. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your reflection will be the proof, your life will be the testimony. Silence is not emptiness, it is gestation. Therefore understand, each time you stand before the mirror, pronounce now as one who decrees, and then be silent. Do not comment, do not spread, do not share. Let the invisible work, let the root deepen. Just as a tree makes no noise as it grows, so too will your new reality rise in silence until the day it can no longer be hidden. Silence is the guardian of your creation. He who learns to be silent before men speaks with authority before the universe. This is how the law obeys. This is how the invisible becomes flesh. The third principle is inner persistence. Many start enthusiastically, but give up when the external world seems to shout the opposite of what they have decided to assume. Understand once and for all, visible reality is slow. It always arrives late in relation to what has already been decreed within. If today you look around and see limitations, debts, failures, or illness, do not be mistaken in thinking that this is definitive. It is merely the echo of an old state you maintained. The mistake is to look at this echo and treat it as truth. The wise person does not bow to appearances. They pass through them with conviction. When you stand before the mirror and pronounce now, you are declaring that you no longer accept postponement. You are saying it's not tomorrow, it's not a distant day, it's not after something happens, it's now. But the external world, accustomed to the old reflection, will try to challenge you. It is at this moment that many abandon the practice, for they believe more in what their eyes show than in what consciousness has decreed. Persistence is not yielding to this temptation. Persistence is repeating the word even when everything seems to contradict it. Persistence is maintaining the state as one who knows that the law does not fail. Think of a seed planted in the earth. In the first few days, you look at the soil and see nothing. It seems that absolutely nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, roots are forming, life is organizing itself, the invisible order is in motion. Yet those who give up early never see the tree emerge. So it is with your word. Now is acting in the invisible, even if your eyes do not perceive it. It is up to you to remain firm until the fruit appears. Inner persistence does not mean repeating mechanically, without feeling. It means returning to certainty every time doubt tries to infiltrate. It means maintaining the emotional state of already possessing, even if your senses say otherwise. It is a silent discipline, a courage to remain in the position of one who has already received. It is not fighting against circumstances, it is ignoring them as fleeting illusions. What is seen today is temporary. What is sustained in consciousness is eternal. The mirror becomes your ally in this process, because each time you look at yourself and reaffirm now, you renew the root of certainty. You nourish the invisible image until it becomes so real within you that no external evidence can shake it. This is the secret of persistence, maintaining the state until reality bends. It is not about forcing, but about remaining. He who persists wins. He who does not give up proves the law. Therefore, do not be deluded by delays. Do not surrender to appearances. Do not undo what you decreed because of a shadow. Continue, insist, remain firm in the invisible, because the invisible has already obeyed. The visible has just not caught up yet. To persist is to hold victory in silence until the world with no alternative must display it. This is the strength of the third principle. The fourth principle is emotion. Many believe that simply repeating a word, as if it were an empty mantra, will cause transformation to happen on its own. But the law does not respond to hollow words. It responds to the inner state. The word is merely the key that opens the door. What passes through is the emotion you sustain. When you stand before the mirror and pronounce now, you should not do so coldly or mechanically. You need to involve your whole body, whole mind, and whole soul in that instant, as if you were already living the desired reality. It is the vibration of feeling that imprints the decree upon the invisible. Imagine for a moment that what you desire is already yours. Close your eyes behind the word and feel the relief of one who has already won. Breathe as one who already possesses what seemed impossible. Walk around the room as if you were someone already inhabiting abundance. When you say now and allow your heart to race, your skin to feel the vibration, your voice to carry authority, you are not just speaking, you are transforming yourself. The mirror becomes a witness to your new identity. Emotion is the seal that authenticates the command. Without it, the decree is fragile and can be erased by doubt. With it, the decree fastens like a deep root, impossible to be torn out. That is why you should not treat this moment as an automatic repetition, but as a sacred encounter with yourself. Each time you pronounce now, make it a complete experience. Mentally see the images of what you desire. Hear the sounds of the life you are already living. Feel in your body the pleasure and joy of having achieved it. It doesn't matter if it's not yet physically before you. What matters is that it has already become real within. This is how the law works. It doesn't bring you what you ask for in desperation, but what you feel as already possessed. He who feels lack receives more lack. He who feels fear attracts more fear, but he who feels fullness inevitably calls fullness to himself. Emotion is the language that the invisible understands. It does not lie, does not pretend, does not invent. If within you there is gratitude and certainty, this echoes in the universe as an undeniable command. Therefore, when you are before the mirror, don't just say, now. Feel it. Let this word ignite your heart. Let your breathing change, your body respond, your mind settle. With each repetition, do not ask, declare. Do not plead, command. The secret is not in how many times you pronounce it, but in how deeply you feel it. Because the external world is not moved by memorized phrases, but by felt conviction. Emotion is the fire that gives life to the decree, and without fire, no creation sustains itself. The fifth principle is absolute trust. This is where many fail, because they want to control not only what they desire, but also how and when it should manifest. The anxious mind insists on calculating paths, observing external signs, checking if it's already working. But the law does not need your anxiety, it needs your certainty. When you say the word now before the mirror, you are decreeing that it already is, and this decree cannot be revoked by doubt. Absolute trust is what seals the creation and prevents doubt from undoing what has already been planted. Think of a farmer who casts a seed into the earth. He doesn't keep digging up the soil every day to check if the root is sprouting. He knows that the seed is working in the invisible, even without visible signs. He waters, he protects, but he never doubts the process. In the same way, you should act with your word. When you pronounce now and feel as if it is already real, you should rest in trust. Do not seek proof, do not demand immediate signs, do not set deadlines for what is already fulfilled in the invisible. Your role is not to monitor the process, but to maintain the state. Absolute trust requires you to surrender control. It does not mean passivity, but rather steadfastness. You continue living, making decisions, acting in the world, but without the anguish of one who doubts. You know that it is already done, even if your eyes have not yet seen it. This knowing is what accelerates manifestation. He who doubts paralyzes. He who observes with anxiety delays. But he who trusts and continues to live in peace, sooner or later witnesses the impossible bend. This trust is silent and serene. It needs no public demonstration, no justifications. It simply remains. When you look at the mirror and say, now, the decree has been made. The universe has already received the command. The only thing that can interrupt this process is your own doubt. Therefore, guard your mind. Whenever doubt appears, return to the state. Reaffirm in silence, but without anxiety. Absolute trust is like a lion that sleeps in peace, because it knows nothing can threaten it. Understand, the law does not fail. The only variable is your conviction. If you trust, the result will be inevitable. It may not come the way you expect, it may not appear in the form you imagine, but it will always come, because the invisible obeys the decree sustained with faith. Therefore learn to rest in, it is already done. This is the essence of the fifth principle. Before the mirror, say now and live as if it were true. The rest is no longer your responsibility. Trust is the final seal, what transforms the seed into a tree, the word into flesh, the invisible into palpable reality. Therefore, we arrive at the final call. Now that you know the 5 principles, there are no more excuses to live like a beggar before life, waiting for something external to come and rescue you. The law has already been revealed. Everything you see is a reflection of what you maintain within. Silence protects the seed. Persistence keeps the flame alive. Emotion gives life to the decree, and absolute trust seals the creation. The mirror is before you not to show wrinkles or marks of time, but to remind you that external reality is merely a shadow. True power lies in the state you assume. Therefore, do not go out asking. Do not beg for signs. Do not implore for change. Stand before the mirror, pronounce now, and allow this word to become an unshakable decree. Feel as if you have already received. Keep silent. Persist even when everything seems contrary. Warm your heart with the emotion of victory. And finally, rest in trust. The world will have no choice but to bow before what you have maintained within yourself. Remember, you are not a victim, you are not a hostage to circumstances, you are a creator, and everything has already been given. The mirror is merely the place where you reconcile with this eternal truth. So go, choose your position, assume the state, pronounce the word, and see the invisible becoming flesh. Because the law does not fail, and the time to manifest is not tomorrow. It is always the same. It is now. Stop. Before looking for signs, make a simple adjustment. Switch places with the author of your story. You have been living as a character, reacting to what the world says. Today, sit in the director's chair. The scene around you is not a courtroom, it's a film set. The camera records what your state commands, nothing more than that. If you understand this now, anxiety loses its job, fear resigns, and the past stops being your resume. What's visible always arrives late. What arrives first is the intimate decree, made without applause, without an audience, without justifications. Don't seek promises, assume a position. The law doesn't negotiate with fragile assumptions. It obeys established convictions. Convince yourself of the following. Life doesn't dialogue with what you ask for. It replicates what you are in secret. The self you wear inside is the mold of matter. Now try a silent gesture. Release your body, recede from the need to prove, and slide into the sober sensation of already possessing what you desire. Don't imagine like someone begging. Remember like someone returning home. When the state ignites, everything in the body changes tone. Breathing slows, the mind stops measuring distance, the heart recognizes familiar territory. You don't need to force grand images. You need to sustain a simple certainty. That's where the single word carries the weight of a royal seal. It doesn't create the blessing, it closes the vault. It doesn't convince the universe, it informs that the matter is concluded. And that's why it shouldn't be displayed, opined on, debated. Secret here isn't superstition, it's governance. The seed doesn't explain itself while sprouting. You don't account for the invisible to others' curiosity. You command in silence and let the world slowly catch up to what is already consummated within you. Enter the state as one crosses an internal border and, when the sensation of possession is alive, conclude. Afterward, walk lightly. Do what someone who has already received would do. Small acts, zero theatricality. The 3D world is stubborn, but it is obedient. Sooner or later, it bends. And when someone asks, "What did you do?" you will know. It was done in the only place where everything begins and ends, within. My first advice is simple and relentless. Assume before you see. The world doesn't pay in advance. It settles after you close the internal contract, and this contract is called state. Begin by sighing deeply, letting your body fall into a lucid serenity, like someone dropping the weapon of control. Close your eyes and ask for nothing. Recall. Recall the after as now. The touch of what you desire is not a distant fantasy. It is a memory brought from the future to the present. Mentally touch the object as one recognizes an old friend. Feel the texture, the weight, the temperature. Hear the ambient sound of a life already resolved. Confident steps, opening doors, conversations that already address you by your new name. Allow your breath to find the rhythm of someone who has arrived. You are not creating with effort. You are donning an identity that already belongs to you. Imagination isn't theatre, it's a registry office. The act of assuming registers the fact in the invisible, and the invisible is always the matrix of the visible. If the mind insists on asking when, respond with composure. That is irrelevant for someone who has already arrived. The clock on the outside works for those who have settled within. Don't try to push the scene, sustain it. Sustaining is the muscle of faith. Let a small detail anchor the feeling. The message read on the phone, the key turning the smell of the place, the light coming through the window of the new place, the approved email. The murmur of gratitude born effortlessly. Return to this detail several times a day, not to implore but to remember. Remembering is signing again. With each felt remembrance, the old state loses blood. The new state, nourished, begins to command behavior. You will speak less of problems, choose sober words, make those small gestures that align with someone who already possesses. This is not pretense, it is coherence. Avoid the common mistake of measuring progress by external signs. A sign doesn't create a state creates a sign. If the world offers you a contradiction, receive it as a delayed echo of an identity you have already abandoned. Don't get irritated by the slowness of the 3D world. Respect its slow pace. True change doesn't need an announcement, it needs continuity. Therefore, before sleeping, return to the short scene that proves the achievement. 2 or 3 images are enough. Sleep within them like someone closing a book already read. Sleep is the gatekeeper of the subconscious. Give it the correct script. And when the sensation is fully ignited, serene, familiar, inevitable, conclude the matter within with a silent decision. No promises, no "I hope so." Give thanks without words and rise like someone who has sealed a contract. The next day should find you coherent, choosing, responding, moving as one who already is. If you slip and wear the old self for a few minutes, don't dramatize, retreat, breathe, reassume. The trump card is not never falling. It is reassuming quickly. In a short time, you will notice that the old landscape no longer recognizes you, and the new one begins to bend. This is how the invisible governs, through sustained internal posture, not by applied external force. Assume before you see, and seeing will come as an obedient employee of what you have decided to be. My second advice is to seal the decree within with a single word that concludes the matter. Creation doesn't answer anxious requests, it responds to consummated decisions. When the sensation of possession is alive, not agitated euphoria, but the calm of one who recognizes familiar territory, pronounce in silence the word that closes the vault: done. It's not "it will happen," it's not "who knows," it's not "I hope so." It's done. This word isn't magic in itself, it's the signature of the state. Spoken outside the state, it's noise. Spoken from within, it's law. Therefore, don't repeat it in despair. Don't display it aloud to convince anyone. Once spoken with conviction, be silent. Silence is the frame of authority. Understand the mechanism. While you analyze, you delay. While you conclude, you release. The mind that begs for guarantees creates delays. The mind that decrees clears the way. Done is the period that replaces question marks. After the contract is signed, you don't rewrite clauses every day. You fulfill your part and let the other side fulfill theirs. It works the same here. You've sealed it, so live coherently. Don't reopen the process out of curiosity or fear. Curiosity asks, will it be? Fear whispers, what if it's not? Both ask the world for proof as if the world were the cause. Remember, the world is the effect. If doubt arises, don't argue with it. Return for a few moments to the feeling of the assumed state and rest. Rest is faith in action. Protect the decree from chatter. Explaining it to those who don't inhabit your state is inviting opinion to interfere in what is not their concern. Secret here isn't superstition, it's spiritual hygiene. The seed sprouts in the dark. You don't unearth it every day to see if it's working. Let the spoken word do its work underground. Go about your day with simple gestures, consistent with someone who has already received. Organize documents, study what a self in that position would know. Treat people from the dignity that this state naturally evokes. No theatricality. True creation makes no noise, it dictates direction. There will be moments when the old scenery tries to poke you with small tests, a delayed email, a skeptical comment, a bill that arrives. Observe without trembling. This is just the tale of the old identity's comet passing by. You don't need to respond with nervousness, respond with governance. An internal, "it is consummated," is enough to prevent you from dropping emotionally. If useful, anchor yourself in a small ritual of coherence. Breathe 3 times slowly, roll your shoulders, look at your surroundings as someone who already belongs, and proceed. The body reads commands from the state. Help it with posture. Remember that done is not a spell to manipulate the outside, it is a verdict that crystallizes the inside. What comes next is just the 3D world catching up to the decree. If at any moment you feel you slipped and reopened the case with complaints, don't blame yourself. Close it again. Return to the state, replace the seal, and continue. Mastery is not in never doubting, but in concluding quickly. An entire life changes when you learn to finish matters within. When it is done, it's over. The kingdom understands the order, and matter, slow yet obedient, begins to align. My third advice is to guard your emotion, not the calendar. External time is a slow messenger. What dictates the speed of events is the quality of the state you sustain within. Many fail not because they chose their desire poorly, but because they monitor deadlines like inspectors and abandon the emotional climate that would make the desire flourish. You don't manage dates, you govern internal atmospheres. If your emotion is of someone who has already received, the minutes cooperate. If your emotion is of someone who fears losing, the days drag on. Stop watching the clock and start watching the tone of your being. How is this done in practice? First, establish a return point, a simple, concrete detail that reactivates the sensation of possession, the vibration of your phone with an approved message, the click of a key, the smell of a new environment, the embrace of someone celebrating with you. When you notice anxiety, bring the detail back, breathe slowly, and let your body adopt the posture of one who has arrived. Relaxed shoulders, calm gaze, economical movements. The body is the fastest servant of the state. If you position it, the mind receives the message. Next, conduct your small daily acts from this atmosphere. Someone who has already received organizes papers without drama, responds to messages with sobriety, chooses words without begging for validation. It's not staging, it's intimate coherence. If hours pass and nothing happens, remember, what happens is always an invisible changing of the guard before it becomes a scene. The old mind will try to negotiate with you. 3 days left, nothing has changed. Respond internally. The external deadline is irrelevant for someone who is already there. Return to the return point, replace the correct emotion, and continue. The correct state is silent. It doesn't need fireworks to feel certainty. True faith isn't noisy, it's stable. Stability is the music that life hears. Avoid the traps of compulsive monitoring. Checking email every 5 minutes, recalculating figures in circles, opening conversations to see if it will happen. All this communicates to the subconscious that you still doubt. Exchange the addiction of measuring for the habit of remaining. Remain in the tone. If necessary, establish ritual pauses throughout the day. 3 deep breaths, eyes closed for 10 seconds, a return to the anchor detail, and a brief phrase that seals the mood. It is consummated. Don't prolong it. Go out and live. The garden doesn't grow faster because you observe it. It grows because you water it and leave it in peace. When a test arises, a delay, a no, a comment of scorn, understand it as an old echo, not a new decree. The 3D world has inertia. Your task is not to fight with echoes, but to maintain the tone that cancels the reverberation. Say inwardly, "You arrived late," and proceed doing what someone who already belongs to the desired reality would do. With each repetition of this posture, your nervous system learns a new normal. And when the body learns, the world learns. If you slip, don't dramatize. The grace of mastery lies in the swiftness of return, not in the fantasy of perfection. Return to the anchor point, restore the mood, and continue. Sooner or later, and usually sooner than you suppose when you stop watching the clock, the facts arrive like punctual employees of a king who has already given the order. Guard your emotion. The calendar is merely the employee. The king is your state. My fourth advice is to fast from appearances. What you call reality are delayed reports from the state you no longer inhabit. Reports, notifications, glances, and numbers smell of yesterday. They are echoes of the old self. If you consume these appearances as food, your faith will starve. Fasting from appearances is not denying bills, commitments, or facts. It is denying them the right to define your state. You pay what you need to pay, respond to what you need to respond to, but you don't grant them a commanding voice. The command is yours, and the source of the command is the invisible. Examine your day like someone filtering the soul's diet. What enters through your eyes and ears? Does it feed or weaken the state? Reduce exposure to the despair embedded in headlines, predictions, and comparisons. Bad news is propaganda for the old self. You are not obligated to watch this campaign. When a no arises, don't waste energy defending against it. Retreat for an instant and respond with governance. You arrived late. Afterward, return to the anchor detail of possession and allow your body to adopt the posture of the new self. The body is a faithful servant. Straighten your shoulders, relax your jaw, make your movements economical. One who already belongs doesn't beg, they occupy. From this internal occupation, execute the next obvious simple step that maintains coherence with your decision. The 3D world measures your conviction by its continuity, not by its volume. Continue. There is a practice that seals this fast: nightly review. Before sleeping, close your eyes and rewrite the day as it should have been for a self who already possesses what they desire. It's not childish fantasy, it's education of the subconscious. Replace the tense conversation with a sober one. Exchange the hasty response for a response from one who reigns. See the message that didn't come as having arrived. Feel the meeting that didn't occur as having concluded gracefully. 2 or 3 scenes are enough. Sleep is the bridge through which the decree passes without resistance. You deliver the new version to the mind's gatekeeper, and he, diligently, forwards it to the floor below, where the law takes hold. Also, practice selective attention during the day. It's not about closing your eyes to the world, but about directing them. What you look at grows. If you need to read a difficult report, read it, but don't chew on the fear that usually comes with it. Read as one who governs, not as one who defends. Faced with a line, a slow system, a delay, protect your state with inner silence. The old self tries to comment, to prove, to complain, and each comment is a donation of authority to what no longer has the right to govern. Economize external words to conserve internal power. When someone ironizes your path, smile politely and don't evangelize your decree. Secret here is spiritual hygiene. The seed doesn't sprout when you expose it to the raw sun of curiosity. Maturity knows when to be silent. You owe no explanations for what was decided in the sanctuary of your heart. Walk, do your part, maintain the tone. Fasting from appearances is ceasing to feed what you no longer are. In a short time, like someone changing seasons without warning, you will realize that the news from outside has begun to speak the language of the self you sustain within. It's always like this. Matter is slow, but obedient. You don't fight with shadows, you change the bulb. My 5th advice is to practice fruitful silence. There is a type of silence that is escape and cowardice. This is not it. Fruitful silence is governance. It's when you decide that what has been decreed within will not be exposed to the market of opinions. Each time you explain too much, you dilute the anointing of the decree. The seed needs darkness and depth to germinate. The same applies to your creations. Speak less, preserve more, not out of fear of envy or bad luck, but out of respect for the mechanics of the invisible. What is being born within you doesn't need applause, it needs nourishment. And the nourishment of the invisible is confident stillness. Practice 3 forms of silence. First, the silence of the tongue. Avoid chatter about desires, plans, goals, especially with those who do not inhabit your state. The world loves to measure what it doesn't conceive, and, without realizing it, you open the door to borrowed doubts. Say less, say late, or don't say at all. Let the evidence speak for you when it's time. Second, the silence of the mind. When your head starts to light up with what-if spotlights, don't debate with the thoughts. Empty them with presence. Bring your body to the now. Long breath, relaxed shoulders, gentle gaze. Slide back into the sensation of already possessing. The noisy mind falls silent when it realizes the throne is occupied. Third, the silence of the heart. Don't feed internal conversations of complaint, comparison, or self-pity. They are thieves of authority. If an old wound wants to speak, bless it and return it to the past. A heart at peace is the greenhouse where the new flourishes. Fruitful silence is not inertia. It is controlled power. You work, study, respond, act, but you don't display the backstage. One who reigns doesn't need to prove they reign. They merely sign and proceed. And that is why the single word, when spoken in the correct state, demands silence afterward. Done. And silence. Not because speaking breaks the magic, but because speaking shifts the focus. You leave the sanctuary and go to the public square. In the square, doubt sells pamphlets. In the sanctuary, certainty writes laws. Choose the enclosure. Each day, find minutes for a brief retreat. Turn off noises, close your eyes, restore the anchor scene, feel the possession, and listen to the internal sound of one who has already arrived. This sound has no words, but it shapes matter. If someone pressures for explanations, smile politely and respond, "In due time, you will know." It's not arrogance, it's spiritual hygiene. Some things are lost when they become conversation. Protect what you love while it is vulnerable. When it matures, no one can deny the fruit. And even when the fruits appear, maintain sobriety. Celebrate within, give thanks intimately, and continue. Silence is not absence of voice, it is presence of governance. It is what prevents you from negotiating your decree for emotional payoff, approval, curiosity, validation. If you slip and talk too much, don't condemn yourself. Retreat, close the internal windows, reassume the state, and replace the seal. Learn from the excess and return to precision. Mastery is continuous adjustment. In a short time, you will notice that your energy is not wasted on justifications. You walk lightly, speak little, decide clearly. And the world, slow yet obedient, begins to reflect this new economy of power. Fruitful silence is the royal guard of your inner castle. With it, what you decided in secret flourishes in public, without noise, but with authority. So rise within. You have seen the map. Assume before you see, seal with a single word, guard your emotion and not the calendar, fast from appearances, and protect everything with fruitful silence. Now, turn this into a habit. Life doesn't reward the curious, it rewards governors. Enter the state as one who crosses an intimate border and does not return. When the sensation of possession is ignited, conclude, done. Afterward, walk with the sobriety of someone who has already received. You don't need to announce anything. You need to inhabit what you decided to be. Stop asking the world to change for you. The world is the mirror, not the sculptor. Don't beg for signs. Don't negotiate with shadows. Don't explain your decrees to those who live outside your sanctuary. Your task is one: to command in silence and certainty that reality align with the state you have chosen. If the old scenery appears with its echoes, respond internally. You arrived late. Return to the anchor detail, reassume the tone, continue. Every minute you remain in the new state educates your body, and an educated body draws forth facts. Don't confuse peace with passivity. Peace is the energy of one who has concluded the matter within. Work, study, organize, move with precision, not to make it happen, but because that's how one who already is acts. When weariness comes, breathe, recall, and seal again. Mastery is not absence of tests, it is speed of return to the throne. And on the throne, one rule prevails above all: the invisible shapes the visible. Take with you the memory of what is eternal. Everything already is, and it is within. The decree you write in silence today will be the headline the world reads tomorrow. Assume, seal, remain. Don't implore, govern. When the king speaks, the kingdom moves. Speak within, with the single word that concludes the matter, and keep it in your heart. Done.